evening, and welcome to Ask the Author Live video conference hosted by Lady AJP Ministries. And thank you for being a part of today's audience. Our mission is to connect Christian living authors with other authors, writers, and readers by creating a networking platform that benefits all. Attendees will receive information, insight, and inspiration as our authors share their knowledge and experience concerning their published works. And as a special thank you to our guests, we conclude our conference each month with a random drawing for an autographed book. Today's special guest is out of the Midwest, and we'll be discussing Too Many Lies. The synopsis reads, Deidre Thompson believed her marriage was finally on the right track. After all, her husband Stanley told her there would be no more secrets, no more lies. When they moved back home to their hometown after being away for 15 years, Deidre discovers a family secret that shakes the foundation of their unsteady marriage. Through the pain, she remains committed to him because of her vows and faith, despite the evidence she holds in the palm of her hand. When Stanley's lies and old secrets are uncovered, they are enough to send Deidre running straight to Las Vegas to an old friend and into the arms of another man. Sometimes it takes a woman a long time to realize what everyone else has seen since the beginning. He's not the one. And now I introduce to some and present to others the author of Too Many Lies, author Daphine Glenn Robinson. Good evening, Daphine.
Good evening. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for joining us today. I tell you, I have been wanting to talk to you for so long. You do a wonderful job with weaving a story together and laying out the facts and the information that we need to be able to really see the picture and be in the moment. So thank you for sharing your gift and encouraging us through the written word. So I wanted to ask you, what inspired you to write? What got you started with writing?
So I grew up an only child. I have a sister, but for 10 years, I was the only one. So I had to entertain myself. And I would come up with these stories. And in the 8th grade, I believe it was, my English teacher said, she said, you do very well writing. You plan to go to college one day? Yeah. She said, maybe you should find a career or something in writing. And I thought, maybe I will. And so here I am.
Wow, interesting. So what prompted you to write Christian fiction or faith-based novels?
Um, I had some ideas about stuff I wanted to write, but didn't know how to make it like believable. So I figured that if I made the characters Christian, I would, deal with their situations that way.
Mhm.
And I read some other popular writers' works as well, and figured that if they could do it, so could I. So, we all go through stuff. We believe different ways or whatever. So why not just tell my story like from my perspective, like what I believe and things that I've experienced. So you could tell a sexy story or a lust or whatever, but the twist, make the characters, or at least one of them or somebody in there, make them Christian. How do they deal with it? Or, and I hope that I hope that, people are entertained, but also will find a word or a nugget without, being preachy about it, because I don't like that, and I don't want somebody, but if you read it and you know that she's supposed to be a believer, she acting
Right.
like that.
Right.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, we do. So
Absolutely. And we all do have situations,
right.
you know, and sometimes people operate under the misconception that because we're Christians, that stuff doesn't happen to us, that we don't have challenges. And
Hmm.
that's as far from the truth as you could ever get.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. So how does Christian fiction differ from what we know as traditional fiction?
There's the element of faith like with this particular book, it's there's lies, and lies have been held for a long time, and
Yeah.
secrets and stuff. But you can write any story, but what makes it different is that level of faith, and faith is what I know. So believers they have just as much trauma as non-believers, like I said. So why not? And then typically I write stories and then reimagine everything from a faith setting. So if it's going to be some sex or drugs, or somebody kill somebody or whatever, which I hadn't killed anybody yet, not yet, but
Yeah.
I mean, in a story. But
Right.
just make the situation, what would, if they believed a certain way, how would this turn out? What would you say? Can somebody in this situation speak something to them? And no, not all the characters are, but usually there's got to be one.
Right.
And, sometimes I'm writing stories now that's not considered like faith-based fiction. There's a
Hmm.
lot of me in it. And so you'll know that I'm writing. I mean, I'm still writing under the same name, but yeah, that's a Daphine book. It's not as churchy as the last one, but
Right. Got
so
it. Got it.
yeah,
So this is the book,
yay.
Too Many Lies, and
Mhm.
it's phenomenal. Okay. Introduce us to Stanley and his wife, Deidre.
Okay, so I wrote this book about 10 years ago. So I was reading some stuff today. I was like, oh, that was good.
Yeah, it was.
But Stanley is Stan the man, and
Hmm.
he's a ladies' man. He was a jock in high school, college. He has swag. He's fine. He's a grown he's a grown man, but he's a grown man mama's boy.
Yes.
So Deidre, on the other hand, is like a naive, plain Jane kind of girl, good girl. How she ended up with Stan, I don't know.
Yeah, we don't know either.
But she thought she hit the jackpot by being with Stanley, because like the plain Jane girl, she's smart. She whatever, she's going to college, she's gonna be something someday. And this jock likes her, in high school, and then they go away
Mhm.
to college and end up getting married. And there are lots of things that come out. And she knew some things about her boyfriend slash husband when she met him, like we do. We
Yeah.
go on anyway. But
Yeah.
sure they'll change. They'll mature, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I was, and I'll just tell you, I was so engrossed in this book that I should have been asleep and I was still up reading because I'm like, okay, this has got to turn.
Hmm.
It's got to turn. So you did a wonderful job with keeping my attention. You really did. So, how did you choose your title, Too Many Lies? This was interesting to me after having finished reading the book. But as you were writing it, how did you decide this is what you were going to call this book?
Um, I usually have a working title, and it wasn't that. I don't even remember what it was.
Okay.
But at the end, it's like, he told too many lies. I, I think it has something to do with, oh, I see it. Untold lies. That doesn't sound good.
Oh,
Untold,
wow.
or
Okay.
lies untold or something like that. Yeah.
Hmm.
But there were just too many lies. And so, when I did the reread the draft, I was like, too many lies. So boom, it's gonna be too many, too many lies.
Well,
And I tested out on my friends too. I have a little writing group. That
okay.
there are three of us that met up at a conference years ago, and we read each other's work and give real feedback to each other. So that really
That's
helped.
good.
Hmm.
That's good. Okay. So here we go to the crux of the issues in the books. How did you select the life challenges that you address in this book? And I'm going to tell you, Daphne, when I was reading it, I'm like, what else could happen? Literally, what else could happen? And it was a wonderful mix. But how did you decide what challenges you were going to put in this book?
So a lot of writers will tell you that what they write is based on truth, I mean, even if it's fiction.
Hmm.
So my books always have elements of truth. I can't necessarily tell you what was true or not,
Right.
but I mean, like all the circumstances are real. I'll think about something and then I'll write it down,
Hmm.
and then I can work it in somewhere, you know, or it can be a whole new story altogether.
Right.
Now there were some things. I mean, like families have secrets. I mean, we my family have had, you know, he has a child. Where did that child
Yeah.
come from?
Right.
The child is grown, you know. So I mean, that's happened a couple of times. Like,
Yes.
oh, hmm, well now. So I take that little twist and
Yes.
put that in there, and especially some of the emotions, because I've been around people where things have happened, crazy things have happened, or unexpected things.
Yes.
And you know, you can write through that. You can write their pain.
You
And
can.
then sometimes I'm looking at a character or a situation and I'm thinking, you know, I've never been through that, but I know what it felt like when blah 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 happened to me. And so
Right.
I'll pour that out into that character so that the reader can say that felt so real, you know. I
Yeah.
cried or whatever. It's like, yeah.
I can tell you, you did a wonderful job with introducing that teenage daughter that nobody knew about. When I read it, I was literally in the moment. I literally went, "Oh my God."
Mhm.
And I felt for Deidre because my thought process was, how do you process this the way you got it?
Mhm.
How do you process it? And it's one thing when someone sits you down in the privacy of your home and tells you, I got to tell you something.
Mhm.
It's something else when you're out about your day and you're confronted with this truth that you had no idea existed.
Like,
And that was a very real part of the book that got my attention and made me not go to sleep when I
mm,
needed to be asleep, because I'm like, okay,
mhm.
I got to see how she deals with this, because this is a lot.
Yeah, I was reading
Oh,
through that today too. And Deidre's mom's like, that baby looked just like
I know. And how many times have we experienced that, or we've talked with someone who's experienced that, where they have that moment like, wait a minute, that person looks familiar. And your whole world shifts because you realize, I do know that smile.
mhm,
I do.
mhm. Yep.
So yeah, that was a very powerful part of the book. And I love the way um, you wrote resolution into the relationships between the characters. I loved that. Some of the things that happened, I did not expect. I was very shocked. I'm like, wow, okay. We worked that out. Look at
Mhm.
God. And it really was a look at God moment. So you did a great job with that. Now, here's a question that is very close to my heart. What was your logic for selecting Vegas as the secondary setting? And before you answer, everybody knows what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. So why in the world did you pick Vegas?
Funny because I was trying to think where could they go that was somewhere I'd been. So when
Okay.
I wrote this book, I had recently turned 40-ish, 40. And so that's when we went for my 40th birthday. And
Okay.
so I could vividly remember the boat tour, the
Ah.
I don't know if I had the cactus garden in there or not, but just some of the places we went and
Mm-hmm.
the view. We drove to Arizona, like they did.
Nice.
Um,
Yeah,
they drove to Grand Canyon.
they did.
So we did, my husband and I did that one night in the middle of the
Oh
night.
wow.
I mean, well, we were there during the day, but when we came back, it was like dark and you could
Mhm.
turn your lights off. You couldn't see nothing on the highway. It was like,
Wow. So that was real life in the book.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So it was, I love doing that. And now I live in the Chicago area. So I'll have that weaved into stories, or where we lived a few years ago in South Dakota, which that's going to be, that's something I'm writing now is actually set in South Dakota because people think that, you know, there aren't any people of color out there. There are a
Right.
few. So that my experience will be real experiences of living out there.
Wow.
But yeah. So yeah, I was in Las Vegas, so it was perfect.
Cool. Well, when I read it, I'm thinking, what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas.
Yeah.
How is this going to work out? Because it can't leave Vegas. So I was again surprised the way you resolved the relationships that played out in Vegas and what the end results were. That just the interaction between the characters was really great. And it was signature for you. So I wasn't surprised by that. But I was surprised in how you resolved some of the things that happened. So for a few minutes, let's discuss the impact of keeping secrets, because the premise of this book is really based on, don't do that.
Yeah.
Just don't do that. So talk to us about the impact of keeping secrets.
Well, interestingly, I can think of three different situations in my own family, different family members who've, struggled in this area. I mean, they got somebody on, that's been existing this whole time and, none of us knew about it. It's like, oh, this is your new cousin. Oh,
Wow.
oh.
Yeah.
Where have you been? Yeah. So, I mean, you said the impact. I just had a thought of a particular situation. I went left there. What was the question? I
We
mean,
talk,
I'm back there already having those emotions like,
right.
how in the world could you keep this person from us all this time? So it makes for good fiction though. But there are consequences to hiding things. And, you know, I don't know. I'm just, when I just said it makes for good fiction. So can you ask me the question again? Because I'm
Yeah.
still, my brain went, and it does that. It does that when I'm writing too. It goes, I'm going this way, and then it goes, no, we're going this way.
It's okay. We all have those moments, and it's really okay. We were talking about the impact of keeping secrets. So, because the book literally happened because there were some secrets. What just discuss the impact of keeping secrets.
Oh, I can tear your family apart. What you thought, what for the other people who are finding out about the secrets, what you thought was is not.
Yeah.
And it's like your whole life has been turned upside down. Like, why did you keep this from me? Why not just tell the truth and tell the truth now and we can work through it,
Right.
maybe. But you the impact is you let a lie go on for so long, it became your truth. It became everybody's truth because we didn't know about it or you didn't know about it. And then, down the line, you're figuring out, you realize it's that wasn't true at all.
Not
So
at all.
it affects everybody.
Not at all. I what really just stuck out for me for Stanley, and I'm not going to tell the book because we want people to buy the book and
Mhm.
read the story and be surprised. But what stuck out was that he carried that, and there were multiple lies, but he carried that burden for so long. And I just had the side thought while I was reading, who is this guy for real?
Mhm.
Because who he was presenting himself as could have been an aspect of who he was. So I'm not going to take away from him, as a character, but it wasn't all of who he was. And
Right.
how difficult is it to downplay portions of yourselves because you're hiding it from
Mhm.
family and loved ones and friends. And that made me sad because I know it's a fictional story, but there are people who are living that truth right
Yeah.
now,
Yeah.
and they don't know how to get out of the cycle.
And also, when I wrote this, I hadn't dealt with, well, I've matured. I'm like 12 years older than that. But I've also met the some people who the lie was kept. They're just now finding their mom or their dad, and they
Right.
wonder, why were they the secret? What was so bad? And they hold that in.
Yeah.
You know? So yeah, that's a whole trickle down self-esteem. Why wasn't I wanted? Why didn't you want to know me? All of that.
Yeah. And that plays out in the book again, you did a wonderful job in getting the emotions of all of the characters written in a way that you could really feel what they were feeling in that moment. So you did a wonderful job with that. So, what message would you like all readers to get who read this book?
That life isn't easy, and
Huh.
that we can capital C, capital A, capital N. We can get through challenges, but it's not easy, but we can.
Yes.
So I try to look for the good in situations, some especially now that I'm an older mom. I'm 35 years older than my my youngest kid, so I'm I'm seeing life through a different lens. Like I grew up with my parents. They were in their 20s.
Mm-hmm.
So now that I've been through some stuff and experienced some life, and
Right.
I talk to them and they're like, but it's I'm like, you'll get through it. I mean, it feels like you can't and
Right.
that you won't. I've been there, but I'm still here.
Amen.
Yeah.
Amen. Okay, so how can our listeners get a copy of Too Many Lies?
Right now on Amazon, the hard the hardback, I mean the paperback and the Kindle version are available on Amazon. The
Okay.
paperback is 14.95, and I'm not sure what the download is. It should be cheaper. And I have 3 copies myself, but that's it. Um, then
Oh,
they were when I was living in North Carolina, the local stores had them, but I'm sure that they've moved those to make way for new stuff. But definitely on Amazon.
all right. Sounds good. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. I'm checking the Facebook page so that we can get our winner. So let's go see who's going to be blessed twice today for having tuned in. All right. Melanie McDowell is today's winner. Melanie McDowell, you have won an autographed copy of Too Many Lives by
Yay.
Christian living author Daphine Glenn Robinson. Thank you so much for joining the conversation today. Melanie, if you go out to ladyajpministries.com, that's ladyajpministries.com, click the ATA winner button to claim your prize. So go out to ladyajpministries.com, click the ATA winner button, and claim your prize. We'd like to thank each of you for joining us today. And extra special thanks to our guest author, Christian living author Daphine Glenn Robinson, author of Too Many Lies, for sharing with us today. Be sure to like the Ask the Author Live video conference Facebook page and post your comments about today's conversation. This is author Angela J. Poole with the Ask the Author Live video conference, Lady AJP Ministries, where we're empowered to enlighten, to encourage, and to empower you. We're impacting lives through the word. Blessings.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate you having me.
Thank you.